Raise your hand if you've ever built a fort. Ha! What kind of materials would you use?
Chairs, get my hands on.
Chairs and blankets. What else?
Boxes.
Boxes, that's right. So we can pretend when we climb into that fort that we're safe. We're safe from danger, or, we're kind of separated and high away from things, right? But, our Bible verse today are written by, well, not written by, but words that King David had said. King David knew what it was like to hide from danger. In fact, for a lot of his life, he was running away from jealous King Saul because David had been anointed as king over Israel, and Saul was jealous. And David lived in a place where there were lots of caves and rocky mountains. So he knew what it was like to hide in his own fort, okay? So let's see how David, so I'm going to back up. David trusted God, okay? So he had faith in God because God had promised him that he was going to be the king of Israel. But, here he is running for his life. But he trusted God. And so he said some words about God. And let's see what it says. I'm going to read from 2 Samuel 22:2. And it says this. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. In fact, these same words, 2 Samuel 22:2 is our memory verse. But if I turn to Psalm chapter 18 and I look, listen to this, verse 2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. He wrote those words about God. Wow. Well, let's explore more about how David sees God. Okay, so let's read this together, and then we'll break it apart. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, 2 Samuel 22:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. Okay, so I brought a rock today. Where is my rock? You're in here, I know it. There it is. Okay. So what are the qualities of this rock? Can you tell me something to describe this rock? What is that?
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
What else?
It's solid.
It is solid, right? And because it's solid, it doesn't change. You could put it in acid and nothing really will happen to it. There's some rocks that will, but in David's case, those rocks were solid. In fact, they were hard on the ground and they wouldn't move, so that you could stand on them and you knew that you were safe and secure. You wouldn't slide around. The Bible, David specifically in Psalm, mentions God as a rock 12 times. The book of Psalm as a whole mentions God as a rock 20 times. And I found 59 verses in the Bible that mention God as a rock. So it's important to look at God as a rock. And it's not a small rock like this. It is a boulder or a mountain. Okay, so imagine God is a strong, stable, unchanging, safe place, like a huge rock mountain. Okay? He is your rock. In fact, Jesus even mentioned rock. So I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 7, and I'm going to listen to this. Actually, close your eyes and imagine. Close your eyes. Jesus is speaking, and he says, everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. Okay, you can open your eyes now. Jesus is saying he wants you to build your whole life on the solid rock. on Jesus. All right. And fort. Did you know that when you use the word fort, it's actually a short word for fortress? And you can imagine that your fortress is like a huge castle. And so imagine it's raining outside and you're in your castle, in your fortress. Are you safe? Yes, you're safe because you're sheltered, you're protected. How about if the wind is blowing? Now, here in Southern California, we don't get rain too often, but sometimes we get some terrible, terrible wind. Imagine you're in your castle. Are you safe? Yes, you are, because the wind is blowing outside, but you are sheltered and safe in your fortress, in your castle. How about if there's a wild animal outside? Are you safe in your castle? Yes, you are. I have to tell you a true story that happened just this week. So we had the windows open. It was nice outside and everything. And I saw, we have a couple of cats, my daughter's cats. And I saw them over there. And they're looking out the screen window and their tails are moving like this. And I'm like, they must be looking at a lizard or a cricket or something like that. So I go and I look. There was a skunk. And the skunk was right outside the window. Oh, and I quickly shut the window. So that kind of reminded me that we were safe inside as long as the windows were closed. Anyway, God is your fortress. You are safe no matter the dangers, right? Okay. You are safe. And he is a strong fortress made out of rock. Unchanging. So David is saying that you are safe from any harm. How about this last word? God is my deliverer. Can you tell me, what is a deliverer? Raise your hand. Anybody? Alicia, you didn't raise your hand. Alicia. Good.
When temptation comes,
Yes.
he delivers you from that temptation.
Okay, yes. The Lord's Prayer says that you will deliver us from evil, right, and temptation. Okay, you who didn't raise your hand, what were you going to say?
I'm sorry. I said postman.
A postman. Exactly. So I'm going to tell you another true story, but I brought my little, I don't know, I've got a hat and I've got my delivery vest. You can have fun with this. And so I'm going to tell you another true story that happened. So my daughter's birthday was this week. She lives all the way in Washington, D.C. And I wanted to have something delivered to her. So what I had delivered to her are pomegranates from our pomegranate tree. And so I wrapped them in bubble wrap and I put them in the box and I made sure that they were nice and secure, and I took it to the FedEx. Well, the FedEx guy, it was the deliverer. His job was to make sure that this box was protected and that it was delivered safely to my daughter. And sure enough, it got there safely. Well, God is your deliverer. You know that without God, we're all in danger because of sin, right? And so God made a way for you to be delivered from the danger of being punished for your sin forever and delivered into his heavenly kingdom. He is your deliverer because he sent Jesus, the rock. Okay. In fact, this whole Bible is one big story of God delivering his people. Okay. We're going to hear today and for the next few weeks about how God delivered his people. But, you know, in our last session, we had somebody that was delivered from the belly of a fish. Who was that? Jonah was delivered from that, from his sin, from running away from God. How about Daniel? Can you think of a story about Daniel and how he was delivered? From the lion's den, that's right. He was delivered. And many, many stories of how God is our deliverer and delivered King Saul from the danger of being chased from King David. But the whole Bible is one big story of how Jesus delivers us from sin into eternal life. All right. So if you need, okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not that well prepared, but it says, if you have not believed in Jesus, God has made a way to deliver you from your greatest problem of sin. You can't stop sinning on your own. Nothing can save you. Sin is too strong. You need someone to deliver you from the power of sin. And Jesus is that deliverer. All right. So as a repetition game, I thought it would be fun. You could take your fort and you could turn it into like a little tunnel. And this verse is really easy this week. So they could probably recite it, the same day if you're going to allow them to get points for that. But you could take your box, turn it into a tunnel, put it down, and have a few kids walk through their little fortress all the way through, come out on the other side and say the verse. So let's say the verse one more time before we say, so that we're going to pretend. I'm not going to ask for a volunteer. Okay. So 2 Samuel 22:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. So that could be your repetition game, going through, popping out, and saying the verse. Okay, Linda, come on up. Now we'll do the verse. Do the hand motions.
So the hand motions were 2 Samuel 22:2. Yeah, we'll just be doing 22:2. We'll be pointing up, the Lord is my rock and my fortress. It'll repeat, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. And if we do the long version, we'll be repeating this verse over and over and over and over again, so they'll know it by the end of the song.
So do you want the short or the long?
We'll do the long version.
Do the long? Okay.
Go ahead. And they snap a lot.
Sorry. Okay, here we go.
Samuel 22:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The Lord is. The Lord is. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. My rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my deliverer. My rock, my fortress and my deliverer, my deliverer. 2 Samuel 22:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer.
Okay.
I
And
know
we'll do
it.
the review now.
Can we
Review?
listen to the short one too?
Okay.
Okay, short.
Well,
Let me
we'll do
read
it
it.
at the review also.
Yeah, it'll be short in the review.
In the review.
In the review, it'll be short
Right,
already.
right,
Which is the last one we'll do. Okay.
Yes.
My soul knows it very well. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, verse 14.
That is fast. I think it's longer.
Oh Lord, our
It's too fast.
slow to
It's so fast.
and about
Let me
I
go
don't
to
know how
the.
you got that
Let me
fast
go
version.
I got the fast version. Let's do the long review, short version. Okay, here we go.
I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, verse 14. Psalm 86:15, but you and sure that neither death nor life nor angels nor rulers nor things present nor things to come nor powers nor height nor depth nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Romans 8:38 and 39. Second Samuel 22:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. Second Samuel 22:2.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Now, of course, I am one that does use the fast version in my club.
Now, where is the short, long version?
Huh?
She said we're gonna go to the short, long version. Where is it?
Well, it's right there on your phone.
All right. In the next part of the video, there was a great discussion about where to find various things, and I was discouraged at the, well, confusion and misinformation in that section. So I decided to try to explain this better. So, if you have the verses that I have loaded on your phone, you should be able to find them, and it should look like this. Okay, so on the right, I have my Android phone, and on the left, I have my iPhone. And both of them, you should be able to find where all the verses are, like I have on the screen here. And they are actually set up just about the same once you get there. You'll have the all verse sheet at the top. You'll have the verses songs long, the verses songs short, and the verse words. So if you go into the songs short, at the top you'll see this 00 all verse review video. This is the short version that's really fast, that's kind of hard to keep up with, but it only takes 6 minutes to play through the whole thing. If, however, let me go back. If you go into the longer songs, okay, no, it doesn't want to go there. Okay. Again, you'll see the all verse review video. This one, however, is the long one. It takes about 9 minutes to play through all the songs. It's still the short versions of the verses all put together. It's just not the really, really short versions that are hard to keep up with. So you do have both of them on your phone if I've loaded the verses onto your phones. All right, now, if you're going to the internet, so you have pushed the one with the V, and you get this page, which is online through the internet. If you pushed each one of them, you get the different verse, each different verse. But down here, this green button, if you push that, you actually get two versions. The top one up here is the really fast one. The bottom one down here, which for some reason hasn't even loaded on my phone. There it is. Close. Okay. And the one down here is the longer version that will last for about 9 minutes. And I have them labeled here, so it's fairly obvious. Okay. But this is the one that's on the internet if you use the QR code. Different from what I loaded onto your phone. Now, as to whether after playing this first verse, it will go on to the next verse, entirely depends on the player you happen to have on your phone. Some phones, no problem, they keep right on going. Some will loop back and play the same verse over and over. Some have a setting to change it, and some just stop like this Android of mine. Some, they'll have options down here that allow you to continue, go to the next one, repeat it, etc. So it really depends on your phone. It's not Android versus Apple. It's just whichever player you happen to have. And a lot of the phones have different players on them, even the iPhones. Also, you can try downloading various players off your app store, and you'll find that some work very differently than others. So if you don't like the player you have, you can try another one. The following is the correct way to use the QR code to get the verses on people's phones.
You even have an app. You just use your camera.
Oh,
And you hover over it, and it will have a yellow box around it, and it says open and below, and you tap on that. That's all they have to do, just with the.
Now that we've gone through the discussion of where everything is and corrected the misinformation in the rest of this video, the rest of this is still useful because it discusses when and why and where to use the different songs. So please do listen to the rest of the verses, even though you now know where to find the information or the files.
phone, and at the top, it'll say the short version. Once you press on it, the verse, then it'll have short version and long version.
But she
Now-
said it was a slow short version.
Yes, but then if you press at the bottom, it says all verse review. And if you press on the all verse review, then there's two. The first one goes really fast, and the second one then has the introduction to each of them. So it's a choice that you can use. Like Rosa and I, we both only use the short version when I'm even teaching it. And then I like the kids to do the fast version just because it takes less time. And once they know it. But it's a choice, yes.
Also, Gigi, when it's loaded on your phone, you just start with the short version and they'll keep playing until you hit stop.
Yeah.
So it'll play one short version and then the verse number 2 and verse 3, 4, 5 until you actually stop it. So that's what
Well-
Diana was playing.
Yes, she was playing that, but that's at the bottom corner. That's the bottom corner when it says review.
It's just that Bryan loaded it all on our phones. So if you're just going to play a song, it'll continue to play to the next song, unless you hit
You
your
know what, dear,
phone
mine
stop.
doesn't do that, but I must have an older version.
Or maybe Android, Diana, is that what you
Yeah,
have?
mine is an
So an
Android.
Android phone will just play one song and then continue to play the next song that's loaded on your phone until you hit stop.
Okay,
So-
does somebody have it loaded on their phone that I can look at?
I didn't bring my phone.
I made my own
Let's see.
playlist, so every
Where's
week
it
I
loaded?
add another
Where
short
do I
one
get all the
to it.
songs?
So it will stop.
I want it where I
Before I-
can just press the song.
So this will play.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it where
Oh,
Right, it repeats itself.
Under short at the top, it says all verse review.
Did you mean
This was the one from the QR code.
Yeah.
So
Okay, guys,
she's talking about the QR.
I'm talking about the QR.
QR code.
Okay, we're talking about the QR code. This is just a point of information. If you press this up here, and I press the verse, it says short video or long. It will automatically play the short one. And then it will continue playing it. And then it'll just start again. And then I think it should repeat.
So this is the long short.
Let's just see if it goes again.
Slower short.
Now see, it'll just
Slow
okay.
short. That's what it is, slow short.
Okay, all right, guys. Okay. If you press the verse, it will play the short one automatically.
Right.
You can press the long one up there if you want it. But if you press the short one, it'll just keep playing it over and over and over, the short version. But if you want to play them all, how do I get back, Linda, on yours? Oh, yeah. Okay, so then, but how do I go back now? Where do you go back on yours? Okay, so then right down here in the corner, it says play versus review video. That's where it will play one, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. And on that one, you have a choice. Do you want to play the fast version? Now, my only point is we put the fast version on because when you get to the end of the year, the fast version takes a whole lot less time than the long version. So if you've got time in your class and you want to spend the extra 3 minutes with the slow version, that's up to you.
Mine doesn't have that.
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
No,
So-
she's
so-
talking about that.
So with this right here, so right down here, it does not have it.
Right.
Let me see, so it
That's
does not
only
have,
if you did it from the QR code.
oh, it has the QR code?
That's good.
Where's the QR code?
That's different.
You can do it from.
Okay, well, this is the one that Bryan put on mine, and evidently he put the same one on Linda's.
Well, but I also have the old-fashioned list of songs.
Yeah, so Teresa,
It's on your thing, your words, your little chart.
Teresa, let me, just show your phone to me.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, see, it's down, it's this green thing right down here. And so the green thing right down here, then, you have a choice whether to do it to do it quickly or not. And so that's then the choice. You know, in the beginning, I played the short version because the kids didn't know the verses. Now they're knowing all the verses, so now I play the fast version. Yes.
On your QR code though, it's a separate app, so it's just a V. If you, in the app that Bryan gave you, it's not there, so you have to do it from the words yourself.
This is the one Bryan gave me.
I know, he did it for you, but we did it ourselves when we used the QR code, and it does it like that.
Right, Teresa, but I'm just saying, when we started this year, Bryan had all the phones back there that he was
But he
putting
didn't
on.
do it that way, no, he didn't do it that way.
He did it for you, but he did it for you.
You were special.
I had to figure out how to load it.
Oh, well, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, I just felt he did the same thing with me, with everybody, because I didn't ask for any special favors.
He knew you needed.
He knew I wouldn't figure it out on my own, is that it? You know, you gotta play
Yeah,
there.
did you have the old-fashioned way, how he loaded the songs? And if you hit the slow short.
How do the kids get the music on that, with that little thing?
Well, there's an app that you can do that will scan any QR code. And once you scan the QR code, then you can bring that up, and then they can just punch it and they can hear it. I've asked my kids, all right, kids, and how many of you have taken your parents' phone, if you don't have one, and done this? And I think 3/4 of my class has.
Okay.
And so I say, okay, now every week I'm going to ask you, because I want you to all get this on your parents'
Can
phone.
they take a picture of it?
When you have an app, it'll just take the picture, and then it just brings it up. You know, we'll show you afterwards.
You don't have to even have an app. You just use your camera.
Oh,
And you hover over it, and it will have a yellow box around it. Then it says open, and below, and you tap on that. That's all they have to do, just with the camera.
thank you. I didn't know that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but the music is on the green button. This is what you'll get.
Okay.
And the green button, if they tap it, is a little video or a little, and it has the music on it.
Or if they tap the number they want. If they tap number 1, it will play number 1 verse. If they
I
tap
took
number
a
2,
picture, I couldn't But
Okay,
that's me.
you know, I was just going to mention one thing about this verse. Now, you know what? If the Lord is our rock, our fortress, and our deliverer, what kind of a world does that tell you that we live in? I mean, seriously. We're in need of the Lord. He is our rock. He is our fortress. So, guys, and what word here is repeated 3 times?
Mine.
My. He's your. All right. So.